Joining us now is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Junix.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning?
Good.
Good morning, Tundu Abiola.
Good morning, Oji.
You're excited this morning. Good morning, Rufai. How are you this morning?
Yes,
I'm doing very well.
for work. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In the United Kingdom, an official photograph of Queen Elizabeth II, taken by Ranald Mackasheen, was released on Wednesday ahead of celebrations to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. The Queen, in her Jubilee message, thanked people for organizing events to celebrate her 70-year reign as millions gear up for street parties over a 4-day bank holiday weekend. While in France, President Emmanuel Macron presented a horse to the Queen to mark the Platinum Jubilee celebrations. The 7-year-old grey gelding, belonging to the largely ceremonial French Republican Guard, named Fabio de Macaur, was delivered to Windsor Castle on Wednesday. In Nigeria, the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party on Wednesday issued a certificate of return to the country's former vice president, Atiku Abubakar, winner of the party's presidential primary election. Atiku polled 371 votes to clinch the ticket to represent the party in the 2023 election.
I have already visited some of those who contested against me as a way to lead in that effort to unify the party so that we can face our real opponents, defeat them in the elections, and begin the process of rescuing and rebuilding this country.
Under sports, Ukraine earned a famous 3-1 win over Scotland in their playoff semi-final to move one game away from World Cup qualification on Wednesday in their first competitive match since the country was invaded by Russia. The Ukrainian players entered the field draped in yellow and blue flags before an emotionally charged national anthem.
Amazing. Very emotional. I can't tell you what the words are in Ukrainian, but in English they mean Ukraine's freedom has not yet perished, nor has her glory.
Finally, under entertainment, actor Johnny Depp won his defamation case against his ex-wife Amber Heard on Wednesday. The jury awarded the actor $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive damages. Depp sued his ex-wife for $50 million after she wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post in 2018 in which she called herself a public figure representing domestic abuse. Well, let's begin what's trending. The Nigerian Army has reacted to allegations of collusion made by Samuel Kanu-Uche, Prelate of the Methodist Church of Nigeria, who on Sunday was abducted by gunmen along the Enugu-Port Harcourt expressway in Abia State. The Army spokesman, Nwachukwu, in a statement released on Wednesday, said that the prelate and the church will need to provide more information on the allegation indicating that soldiers were complicit in the activities of the kidnappers. While condoling the prelate, the Army spokesman added that the prelate's account of the kidnap incident is not entirely premised on any findings of investigations and therefore cannot be swallowed hook, line, and sinker. Nwachukwu further stated that the Nigerian Army has zero tolerance for any misconduct and will approach the prelate and the Methodist Church to unravel the basis for the allegation. Tundu, I believe we do have an exclusive airing, hopefully by 1 p.m. But I wanted to quickly take what the prelate said before we discuss. If we can pull up that video.
To collect the ransom, they brought in more people hidden somewhere with more guns. In fact, people saw one boy at the front of the military checkpoint. So our man wanted to harass him. What are you doing here? Who are you? The military said, no, leave him. He came to drop something for us. And it's the same military that normally said to people who go on combing, don't cross. If you cross this line, we fire you. Don't go inside the bush. So why are they shielding the people? Why are they shielding them? So some people have planned to do something in this country. That's a plan. there's something they are planning, but only God will foil it.
I think it's important that the army, released that statement and said that they're going to weigh in to the matter. But this is a weighty allegation. I mean, Tundu Abiola, what do you make of this whole story?
It is. We had excerpts of this interview with our producer, Ozi Okole, on the morning show, and it's going to be shown in full 1:30 p.m. on Newsday. But I want to read a part of the army statements here. And one of the paragraphs raises certain questions. Was the issue reported to the unit covering the area? Did the Methodist Church take the Nigerian Army into confidence while negotiating the ransom with the kidnappers? No formal complaint has been received by the unit. More worrisome is the fact that it was alleged that the ransom was paid in less than 24 hours. Was the ransom paid to the troops? These are questions that beg for answers. Like you said, it's important for the army to have some kind of rebuttal, but I will never, ever dismiss the account of the actual victim that has the bloody eye and probably the lifelong trauma to show for what he went through. He said what he said. And I don't believe that the prelate, he made a reference to drug use amongst his abductors. The prelate was stone cold sober during his ordeal. So I don't think it's right to dismiss him in that manner. I think the more appropriate approach, if I was to advise the army, which I'm not in the position to do, is that they should take his allegations seriously and they should investigate his allegations and question their number rather than the account of a victim of a horrendous crime that right now just really needs some kind of congratulations for emerging intact from what he went through. For me, if I was the army, I would not be quick to dismiss what he said at all.
Because he mentioned collusion and he also mentioned cover-up. Dr. Abati.
Well, the accounts given by the prelate are very gripping, quite revealing about many issues, not just about the complicity, as he alleges, of the Nigerian military, but also about the fact that certain persons from even outside Nigeria and colluding with people inside Nigeria are threatening to take over Igbo land and claiming that this territory known as Nigeria belongs to them. Another thing that the prelate revealed is that the next destination for attacks will be Lagos, compelling the Lagos state government, speaking through Benga Motosho, the Commissioner of Information, to say that Lagos is a very secure zone. Now, again, he talked about drugs. Again, he talked about the cruelty, the sheer cruelty of the people who abducted them. But the point about the military, I think the military, speaking through the director of Army PRO, had said they were engaged with the prelate to get more information. Yes. And I hope that the church, will cooperate with the military and provide more detailed information. The prelate is saying that there is collusion with the military, and the spokesperson of the military is saying, well, they have troops around Okigwe and Uturu, but nobody gave them information or tried to ask them to intervene. Well, they should look into that too. And then the third point that the army spokesperson made is that they do not deploy troops in the Nigerian military based on ethnic considerations. And the prelate was saying, even the soldiers themselves come from a particular ethnic zone with the people who attacked them. So all these are things, that should be looked into. And then, of course, there should be investigation, very detailed investigation. To live in a country where neither the church leader nor the congregation is safe, it's a very difficult thing indeed. 100 million. If you watch when the prelate was describing the kind of weapons these people were carrying, and it is not new that the military have been implicated in terrorist attacks. You will recall that Mike Ejiofor, a retired director of SSS, when he was abducted, when he came out and gave his own account, he said the way the people who abducted him were holding the guns, you will know that these were not bandits. And I could identify from their behavior at least 3 military officers amongst them. There are persons who, there was a story recently of a soldier who deserted the troops and went to join the terrorists. So we have had stories like this, but the Nigerian Army just needs to continue to reassure the people of Nigeria that, all the rank and file are working in the interest of the people. Absolutely. And not that we have some fifth columnists who are hiding closet terrorists and bandits within the ranks of the military.
I mean, it's an indication of what is happening in the Nigerian states. And I'm quite very scared that we're having one too many issues of complicity. The military will just say they'll investigate. We don't get to the end of the matter. They should investigate. We've had many cases of complicity. You remember the things Obadiah Melafia said before he died. You remember the things Sheikh Gumi himself said on this our show. And the military called him up for questioning, and afterwards we didn't hear anything. The military is a time for them to introspect. We're not going to take away the fact that the military has been doing a great job as regards securing lives and property in this country. But there have been one too many issues of complicity, especially even with what is happening in the southeast. A lot of people, point fingers at the Nigerian military. Yep. And it's not the time for them to get defensive. If they're working for Nigeria, they should take feedbacks and grow and learn from them. There was a story I was watching yesterday on television about a community somewhere in Umoche or something. A community youth leader said that anytime they go give information or intel to the military, people that they give information about come to hurt them. And they don't want the military in their area again. And this is becoming one too many. So this is not the time for them to be defensive. This is for them to introspect and know how to bolster it. Secondly, since the bishop talked about his ordeal, has the military or any of security forces put troops together to follow him to that particular place and trace that place? The next line of action should be that the camp should be raided, because there's a pathway to where he was kidnapped. We should enter that bush, raid them. If possible, go into that gallows where he said a lot of heads and bodies were severed and cut. They should find that place out. Thirdly, if the ransom was being collected and communication was made via phone, can't we use the phone coordinates to trace where they are through technology? Dr. Bati, I deliberately underlined one word you said this morning, and Tundu too. Tundu, you said, if we have the will. Dr. Bati, you said, if we are ready to do our work. And I underlined that word. If we are ready to do our work, I think by now, 2 days after, they should have traced where the priest was kidnapped, and they should have rounded up those people. And the shocking part, he said they're also on Lagos on Ibadan Expressway. You remember we had case of kidnapping on Lagos Ibadan Expressway? And they've not come that forest entirely. These are things we should look at.
All right. Well said, Rufai. We'll take another story. The Cambridge University Press has reacted to the backlash that trailed Trish Lorenz, a British journalist and author who came under fire over her latest book titled Soro Soke, The Young Disruptors of an African Megacity. The book examined the bravery of youth who led the NSAS movement and also featured the views of some Nigerians who took part in the demonstration. The Berlin-based journalist received severe backlash after she claimed in an interview that she was the one who named the protesters Soro Soke Generation, a slogan used during the protest. In reaction to the backlash, the Cambridge University Press, which published the interview, issued a joint statement admitting to the author's faulty statement. It clarified that the interview had been updated and described the author's gaffe as unintentional. The publication won the author the 2021-2022 9 Dots Prize, which lauds creative thinking that tackles contemporary societal issues. Tundu Abiola, I'm glad that they have come up with this statement, the Cambridge University Press, but the backlash was severe, with a lot of Nigerians, including Africans, demanding a recall of the book. They even had a petition that was lodged online. Did you sign it?
Yes. No, I signed it. I think this is an egregious example of cultural appropriation. It is a disgrace.
Yes.
That 9 Dots Prize also comes with $100,000 for appropriating a struggle she had nothing to do with. And this is how vultures have always been. There's a racial element of it, but generally you do get vultures attaching themselves to struggles they had nothing to do with, to sort of aggrandize themselves and boost themselves. But this also has a racial element of the way white people have continued to profit off our pain and steal our stories. They steal everything. They steal our art. there was this, because of when it was mentioned that she lives in Berlin, it reminded me of this Yoruba Ife terracotta head from the 12th century that this German explorer had in a Berlin museum, and he said it was from the lost city of Atlantis, our art.
Yes.
You have Pablo Picasso, who lied that, oh, he's never seen African art. When you have clearly seen it, you are clearly inspired by it. We're talking earlier about Elvis Presley. That's why I'm not a big fan. He's a cultural appropriator. I'm sorry, he just is. And this is constant. They make a fortune off of our pain.
Yes.
And there have been, I know at least one book about the Soro Soke generation. There was a poetry anthology. Why didn't they get the $100,000? Why is this lady called Trish Lorenz, who claims that she used the Yoruba phrase and she coined the phrase? How dare she? It's a complete outrage.
Well, I'm glad this is all resolved for now, but this should never happen again. We'll take another story. The federal government has banned the sale and consumption of wild animals, otherwise known as bushmeat, in a bid to curb the spread of monkeypox disease, following its recent resurgence in the country. In a statement dated May 31st, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Mohammed Abubakar, directed hunters and dealers of bushmeat in the country to stop the business. The minister also urged Nigerians to avoid contact with any persons suspected to be infected with the disease. On May 29, 2022, Nigeria recorded the first case of monkeypox. So far, 21 persons, according to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, have been infected, and one person is said to have died as a result of the disease. Rufai, over to you.
Okay, I mean, we're there again.
Yes.
Monkeypox is real. What are the normal culprits? Bushmeat and some other things like that. It is here to stay, all right? We should take precaution as regards that. But also, trade of bushmeat, because you see, most of these species are endangered species. I saw the story the other day about an elephant somewhere in Ogun State that was killed.
Oh, no.
Do you know how many elephants we still have in Nigeria? Not too many. So both our flora and fauna content is being eroded. They are cutting our trees in the bush. Trade of bushmeat is taking away our animal content. And the ecosystem is being depleted. Because you see, we fail to realize that animals to play a role in the ecosystem. I was telling somebody the role of snakes in our ecosystem. How snakes help to maintain ecological balance. The reason why animals were there at the initial point was not just to fill up the space, but was there because they maintain a certain equal balance. Pangolins, other animals. So all this bushmeat we're encroaching and killing, it is time for us to stop. There's an international association on this called CITES. There's World Wildlife Fund, there's Legacy Conservation Foundation. Look at the topsoil cover and the farm content cover. It's fast gone. Look at Lagos here. Do you know the area called Igbo-Efon was actually a forest for elf? That's why it was called Igbo-Efon. It's in Lekki now. It's become a cement jungle. Like Johnny Mitchell says, we remove paradise and we build up a parking lot.
We pave paradise.
We pave paradise. We put up a parking lot. And we don't know what we have until it's gone. So I'm in support of this, and we must stop the consumption of bushmeat.
Absolutely.
Because we are destabilizing our ecosystem.
That's the main point. Dr.
Okay.
Bati.
The issue, as I say, it is about the outbreak of monkeypox.
Yes.
Now, Nigeria is one of those endemic countries for monkeypox, since the first case of monkeypox was reported in the Democratic Republic of Congo in 1970. So we have had cases in Democratic Republic of Congo, in the Central African Republic, in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, in Cameroon, and Equatorial Guinea. These are countries where you have had cases. But for a very long time, Nigeria did not have so many cases. But recently, there were reports of the 26 cases you quoted in 7 states of Nigeria with only 1 death. Worldwide, other countries, what makes it serious now is that other countries that were non-endemic for monkeypox now have cases of monkeypox. 205 cases in about 11 countries. Some of these countries include the US and countries in Europe. And that is why you find this special focus on it. Now here in Nigeria, the challenge is that as a result of COVID-19 and as a result of focus on COVID-19, attention was shifted away from other routine problems right? Including general vaccination for children. So one, it's good to see that the Primary Healthcare Development Agency is now focusing on monkeypox. Now, for you to have monkeypox, you need to have close contact. And it's from animal to human for the most part. People who consume pangolin, people who consume monkeys, people whose eyes cannot leave a big rat alone, or squirrels, they will be thinking of a pepper soup pot. You know, so that's why it's important that government is saying, stay away from bushmeat. Two, other pieces of advice. We have been told to wash our hands regularly. We have been told to avoid contact with animals. We have been told don't keep non-human, persons, as they use it, NHP. In other words, animals. Don't keep them as pets inside the house. You know, try to keep a distance. So all of this, I think it's about, one, information. Nigerians are very skeptical people. Some people, as we're speaking now, some people are eyeing a monkey in the forest. They are thinking of bushmeat. Some people are parking on the highway. They're trying to negotiate. This your bushmeat, antelope. How much is it? Okay, they are negotiating. So they have to make this campaign very loud, so that people don't just go and commit suicide because they want to put something in their mouth. Okay?
Absolutely.
The other challenge, of course, is that the government should also do a lot in terms of surveillance. I read a piece by Professor Yewale Tomori. You know, he was saying surveillance is very important. That's how you can track, you know, the prevalence across the country. And then probably maybe we need to collaborate with the Western countries, the non-endemic countries, where there's likely to be a greater seriousness in terms of focus. Because for monkeypox, there is no vaccine. They used to, the standard treatment was to use the vaccine for smallpox to treat monkeypox. The smallpox has been eradicated. So, and the production of the vaccine for smallpox has been discontinued. So the best thing to do is for everybody to take necessary precautions and not commit suicide, you know, by looking for bushmeat all over the place.
What type of bushmeat do you eat? Dr. Vati, I have to put you on the spot. Very good. Absolutely amazing. We shall take our final story. Tanko Rossi Sabo, one of the delegates in the just concluded primary elections of the People's Democratic Party from Kaduna State, is reported to have spent about 20 million naira from the election largesse to assist the less privileged. The delegate is also reported to have paid 100,000 naira to set up logistics for a 5-man committee to go around the schools in the state in order to pay for WAEC and NECO exam fees for secondary school students. Sabo had, during his campaign for election as a delegate, promised to give back whatever monetary benefits he made to the community if elected. I don't know how I really feel about this story. You know, I love philanthropy. I mean, this is amazing what, you know, he has done. Completely amazing. I feel like he donated all of his money because, I mean, 20 million naira to even start with. Remember, we were talking about delegates only just yesterday. But I'm very proud of this man. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I'm proud of him too. Yeah. I'm really impressed. It's amazing what he did, this kind of gesture. It's not as common as one would hope, and I hope a lot more people are like this. However, and I know you know that was coming. I'm trying to do the math, because different reports have different figures. 811 delegates, some people say 774 delegates. Can you imagine?
And the PDP convention? Yes. 767.
767 delegates.
Accredited.
So let's begin to do the math of how much money was squandered in this fashion. I always talk about that 19th century corrupt politician, Boss Tweed in New York, who said, I don't care who does the electing as long as I do the nominating. He had a political machine called Tammany Hall, and they were doing all these shenanigans until LaGuardia, what's his first name? Fiorello LaGuardia, after whom the airport is named, came along. His progressive movement cleaned up New York politics for good, and which I guess is why he's honored by naming the airport. We need people like that in this country. We cannot continue to behave like this. You will recall Michael Bloomberg, when he entered into the Democratic race, which was eventually won by President Joe Biden, who obviously won the election in the end. He spent $100 million, but it was mostly on adverts, on the media, and not giving money to delegates. Dr. Oz the GOP Pennsylvania primary, they spent $50 million on that race, mostly on the media. They don't hand cash to delegates. We need to move forward in this country.
Absolutely. I mean, he's done amazing. He's even, giving children.
He's a really special
he's
person.
completely
He's a special
amazing.
man.
Just to say that this does not justify the monetization of
No, not at all.
And if the guy could give out 13 million like that, only God knows how much he got. We're told that some of them got over $50,000 from just 5 aspirants.
Yes.
So you can imagine he must have made a kill.
Yes.
So the monetization of Nigerian politics is to be deplored.
Yes, well, thank you all for your great analysis, as always. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you tomorrow.